In the darkness between the stars, the weak and the faithless find no deliverance. We are raised to believe that the God Emperor watches over us all. And so we are charged to cleanse the mutant, the heretic, the alien. We must not falter. We are his sword. We are his wrath. Even in the face of death, we shall not submit. Suffering is our prayer. Faith is our armor. In battle, he offers us redemption. And for those who prove worthy, the Emperor sends forth his angels.
Our Imperium is besieged. Across 1,000 worlds, we fight for our survival. Those that would tear humanity down are legion. Our forces are few. Our enemies many. There is no respite. There is no mercy. And in our darkest hour, a spiteful universe awakens forgotten evils to break us. The galaxy burns, yet still we stand, the last bulwark against the terror. And while we draw breath, we will fight. For in this new dark age, there is only war.
Hello everyone and welcome to Omniscient Approved, where in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only hype. It's late, he's worked today, it's lack of sleep. So, as he has worked today, obviously 9th edition has been announced, there's a new website, there's a bunch of new stuff that's being shown.
The internet is on fire,
yes.
Mostly metaphorically.
Yes, a lot of people are singing the...
Wait, hang on. Yep, internet's still on fire.
A lot of people are already saying that it's going to be the death of the game. Some people are saying it's going to be the rebirth of the game. Some people are saying it's going to be 8.5 edition. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. But as my friend here has been at work all day, he has not been able to really see everything. And he hasn't really, kind of sat down and looked at a lot of the stuff. So I figured it would be fun that we go ahead and I'll read the questions that Games Workshop put up. I have them printed out here because I like old school antiquated things. So I'm using paper.
And then after that, they have the 7 key things to know about Ninth Edition, and we can also review those because I believe those are not covered directly in the
Yes,
FAQ.
not directly. And we'll do a brief thing of that. This is not going to be super in depth. This is just kind of going to be an off the cuff thing, especially since, and I do urge you to remember this is still very new. Nothing is really set in stone yet, even though they've kind of previewed a couple rules. No one knows how things are going to be written. No one really knows yet. So we'll have to wait and see.
And the most important thing to keep in mind here, I'm going to put on my old gamer hat for a moment. I came in the game in 3rd edition before the Necrons, who are going to be one of the features of 9th edition, before they even existed in the game. 3.5 was a big adjustment to how close combat worked. That was either the best thing the game has ever had or the worst thing, depending on who you ask at the time. Literally every edition has had people predicting doom, predicting radical changes, but majority of the time when Games Workshop has a rule system they like to iterate. They like to refine and tune rather than throwing everything out and starting all over again. 7th edition was broken to the point where it required something drastic. 8th edition isn't. My prediction, this is going to mostly be 8.5, just with some new sauce.
Yeah. And I'm excited for that. So
let's get started.
Yeah. So firstly, if you go onto the community page, you can find these. They're basically what I'm assuming the development team thought would be questions and comments people were going to ask. But there's some nice little tidbits in here. So the first one is just mentioning. So there is a new version of Warhammer 40k. Which obviously there is, so I'm not going to go over that. So one of the big questions that they assume people would ask is, why are they doing another edition of 40k so early? So basically, as it says here, we are always looking to make our games the best they can be. The last edition of 40k saw a new game rebuilt from the ground up. This edition is an evolution of that revolutionary design, taking on board 3 years of player feedback and making this incarnation of the game the best edition yet. They said that about 8th. I like 8th a lot. I'm not going to say it's the best that the game has ever been, but it certainly is up there.
I will say that 8th is the best the game has ever been. You can fight me, Internet.
I think
it's the best the game has ever been overall.
I think for me, there's things from 7th I miss, but I don't miss a lot from 7th. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So,
before we move on, sorry to interrupt, there is one thing that's worth pointing out. 3 years for a new edition is actually close to average for GW.
Yeah, that is. It's not super.
So
super
it is not fast at all. In fact, 6th to 7th was faster than 3 years. It was closer to 2.
That is correct. Yeah. So yeah, with that being in mind, that's kind of the thing. They're just trying to take the feedback that they've gotten and incorporate in the new edition, which kind of leans into our belief that it's more of a slight update to 8th instead of a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
So important things to know. Everybody knows this, but all of your models are still going to work. Going into the new game, it's very, very good. All of the armies, all of the codexes that are out now are compatible with the 9th edition rules. All of your Psychic Awakening books were designed with 9th edition in mind, so you're good to go there. All of the rules that you have and love are going to carry over. Now, they did say that they would be releasing new codexes down the line, which we kind of know is going to happen.
Yep.
Along with new armies and things, which are really fun.
The other thing I would say is I would expect a lot of the codexes to be what they did with Chaos Marines 2.0 codex. Is we'll see everything that's been released so far compiled, collated, and pulled with FAQs and important updates into it. And then if there's any new models to coincide with that codex release, they'll put them in as well. But I'm assuming a lot of it is just going to be, we're going to clean up, tune up, and make sure everything's nice and spiffy to run perfectly with 9th edition.
Yeah. And on that note, like I said, Psychic Awakening is good. They are also going to be retouching the Forge World Index books. So, so there's going to be new points costs for your Index model, or for your Forge World models, so that you can...
Karen be good again, please.
Oh, I think it's already going to be good with new stuff. I think tanks are going to be really nice. I'm hoping. I've wanted tanks to be good for a while.
Let's all look forward to us being able to tell GW thanks for making them good again in 9th edition.
Yes, so they say that that's going to be within relatively soon of the new edition coming out, so give it a month, 2 months, something like that. That's my personal belief. So obviously they're making new codexes, as I've mentioned. Complete points changes across the board that will come into effect with the release of the new edition. One of the things that some of the people I've spoken with have been worried about was spending more money. They're going to have to buy a new rulebook and everything. just like in 8th edition, the core rules are going to be free. It's going to be a free PDF download that will include, I believe it will include the points adjustments and things like chapter approved, where it has the points change and things like that. It should be all a downloadable PDF.
That's been strongly implied that if it's not going to be just in the 8th edition rules, then it'll be something that you can have, because they've specifically said, no, you do not need to buy a new rule book, just the codex to actually play the game,
now,
which is kind of your stance.
They will make the pretty shiny code rule book for you to get if you want to, like we are addicted to having.
And it'll have the extra scenarios and the campaigns, the new campaign system that I heard some things about.
One of the questions, what is it we're hearing about Crusade? We're glad you asked, because we're proper excited about it. I'm British language, anyway. Love you guys. Crusade is a new system for narrative play that will allow you to interact with your 40k collection in a deeper, more meaningful way. If you love Warhammer 40,000 lore, narrative in your games, campaigns, meaningful battles, and collecting an army to a theme, you're going to love Crusade. An important thing about Crusade is they mention that it will be in the free download. The base layout for what Crusade is will be in the free PDF.
Ooh, that's good.
So that is awesome. Keep in mind, all of this is subject to change. This is just what they've given us today. This is the first day. So.
That makes sense, though, because they've really emphasized the hobby as a whole, not just the gameplay, which has always been a thing for Warhammer, but it seems like they've recently put a whole lot more emphasis on it. And, hey, when when a lot of us are still in situations where we can't go out and game with people, spending that extra bit of time on making the hobby yours, type of things that we love, doing that extra little
I like it.
things. Yeah. I like it a lot.
Other than the basic thing of them pimping their new trailer, which we just got done watching, the rules, they will continue to release chapter approved throughout the coming years. To do little points adjustments and add new rules and new scenarios, which has been chapter 3 has been a great thing for the game. I personally think. One of the questions is, what's in the new boxed game? And their response to that was, who said anything about a new boxed game? I'm sure it would be exciting, though, if such a thing were actually in the works. It probably wouldn't be long before you found out more about it. So I expect that we see an official thing for it within the week, especially given that there has been potential spoilers, which I will go ahead and splash up on the screen for you guys to look at now. Okay, so I have already seen these images. Clay has not. We're going to start with the Space Marines as is our preference. So I believe you actually have taken a glimpse of the Space Marine mode, but let me just go ahead and do a rundown for people who may be seeing this for the first time. So we do have Primaris Marines on bikes. The bikes look really chunky and proper bulky. I love it.
About damn time.
Yeah, some Honor Guard looking individuals with storm shields and swords. A squad of Assault Intercessors is something that the game has needed for a little while. I like them a lot. I hope that they don't give us an option for a jump pack on them. As much as I would love that from just a playing on the tabletop standpoint, I don't think that should be. I don't think that's the role they should play.
I agree for more reasons than that, but finish your thoughts.
We have a couple models that's hard to see what they actually are. We have a gentleman that looks like another chaplain. Two actually that in my mind look like chaplains. One of them has like a weird executioner sword. I love the design on it, but it's definitely different. A new standard bearer, and some Gravis Marines that appear to be toting heavy weapons, which is, I think, a good spot for Gravis.
So before we move on, I'm gonna
go ahead. What's your opinion on this?
The Space Marine bikes are bloody perfect.
Yeah,
that is exactly what you expect to see out of them. The Honor Guard or that's what we're calling the guys with sword and shields. They look great. Mm-hmm. I'll take them.
Yeah,
absolutely. I want them. The agree about the intercessors, the just bolt pistol and chain sword assault intercessors is something Primaris sorely needs. I have a reason why I don't think they're going to give you a jump pack option on them.
Okay. I don't think they should.
Every model that they've done, every Primaris model that they've done that has a jump pack has not been standard intercessor style armor. It has either been full-on Gravis armor in the Inceptors, or the weird Phobos Gravis hybrid for the suppressors. So if they're going to give us like Assault Marine style dudes in jump packs, that's what we're going to get. One more thought. The black armored Marine in the middle is probably looks to me like a new Chaplain model, but the one in the back with the large Executioner's sword, for lack of a better name, I think that's going to be more like a company champion type,
like the
type
champion,
model rather than a another Chaplain. That said, if Chaplains can now take a giant sword, I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah,
too.
no complaints.
Yeah.
And if that's not what that is, G-Dubs, call me. We'll work on a Chaplain with a large sword. We'll make rules. It'll be great. So the next one is the Necrons, and every time I look at this, I seem to notice something different.
So
it looks really cool.
Let me have a closer look, because this one I've not seen at all. About a dozen people I know sent me the Space Marine image because they know I love my Marines.
Yeah.
I've only played Marines and Marines. Not a
So
dozen, but a bunch.
while you take a look, I'm going to go just kind of take everybody around here.
Sure.
So starting in the bottom left, you have what looks to be an Immortal style thing. It's kind of hard to tell because it fades away. Unit of warriors. I do like the warrior redesign. They look like you can play them with your old warriors, and it's not going to look out of place at all.
And for the record, the original original warriors, the ones in 3rd edition, are the ones that Necron players have had up till now. This is the first time they've done a redesign.
And they're fine. One of the things that I did notice on this is some of the warriors appear to have special weapons, which is not something you could previously do, which is something I'm excited about. So you've got, looks like 2 squads of warriors, as well as these weird... I have no idea what these are. There's obviously like a Lord model near the center, a couple of weird walkers there. They look like flayed ones after a couple hits of cocaine and then going to the gym. I mean, it is what it is. Some Scarab bases, I like that. If those redesigns for Scarabs, I do like a lot. As well as another Necron Lord, and there may be Lord Cryptek and other things, but there's definitely something interesting there. A weird Quad Walker thing. Probably my favorite addition from everything we've seen so far, and I'm sure it'll be Eclipse because these things look amazing. The 3-legged walkers with the large glaives.
Spider-Crons does whatever a Spider-Cron does.
You know, honestly though, it makes sense if Games Workshop was trying to move Necrons a little bit away from the Egyptian theme, which seems like they've wanted to for a little while. It makes sense to lean heavier into the insect theme that they kind of had going to. That's my interpretation. Yeah, so I think they look really cool. I wish that it was a bit easier to tell what things are. This is obviously, this is a leaked image. It's probably a scan of something, and it's probably designed to not be super forthcoming in its content. So what's your kind of take on this?
I agree 100% with the Warriors. The Warriors have needed just a little bit of an update pass to make them a little less Terminator-y.
Yeah.
Because the entire original pass of Necrons was, here's Terminator with a laser gun, here's Terminator with a big laser gun, here's Terminator with a laser staff.
Yeah.
And bringing the Warriors out of that and forward is great. I agree 100% on all the Walker things. The big one that's the small ones, the large one, they're great. Mm-hmm. Big choppy spidery Necrons. It gives them a much more distinctly alien feel. The guy in the middle, I'd probably like a Cryptek, or even like a maybe if they're bringing pariahs back as like a special character rather than a unit of guys, that could be a model for it.
And that's
as far as the like cans with a head and legs, maybe those are pariahs.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't expect pariahs, if they do bring them back, to have the same lore they used to.
No, they'll absolutely be new lore.
Because it just wouldn't fit. But pariahs used to be kind of a mix between like Living and Necron. It was a weird thing, but
the reason I say I think Necrons are going to get something to fill that role back is giving Necrons a dedicated, you take this to ruin a Psyker's day, fits where they're going with the storyline. Because in an arc where everybody but the Necrons in Tau is getting a psychic awakening, for the Necrons to go, alright, we can fix that, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The Tau are just going to continue scratching their head and be confused.
It is what it is. So, so that was that. I just wanted to take a look at those. Throughout this, periodically, I will also be showing some of the new models that they've gone ahead and officially released, as well as some leaks, just as we're talking, to give you some eye candy, because as attractive as we are, we're not little things of plastic. So, going forward after looking at that, and that is very heavily appears to be a potential for a box set. It would be a pretty hefty box set as far as number of models, which would be nice. But if it's like, if you're looking at something in like the $270 range, like here's your rule book, here's your set of dice, here's both of, you know, that would make sense.
And I could see them doing that for a limited edition, a special edition release for 9th edition.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that. So we do have that. But if they do release, and another thing that kind of does hint that they are releasing it, even though that Who Said Anything About a New Box Game is blatantly saying there's going to be a new starter box. The next question is what happens to Dark Imperium. Dark Imperium is going to be retired relatively soon, so if you want one, you better go ahead and get one. If that's something you've been wanting, go ahead and reach out and grab that. Do get it from your local game store, if at all possible. Help support the people around you right now, because it's very important.
And if you're like us and you're on team, wear your damn helmet. It's actually really easy to fix the guys that are walking around with no helmets. So don't let that hold you back. They're great intercessor sculpts. They're actually posed all slightly differently than what you get out of a standard intercessor box. So throwing them in with any other Primaris models you have adds a lot of variety to your squads.
Yep. They actually mentioned that Kill Team, the rules for Kill Team are not changing. It's just staying exactly as they are for those of you who love Kill Team out there. Like as it said, the core rules are free. I'm kind of reiterating myself, but they kind of restate things. Non-Primaris Marines. A couple people were thinking that once the Primaris range was full, then all of your mini Marines were going to be gone. That, at least as of now, is not true. All of your non-Primaris Marines still exist within the game. They will still have rules. They're still going to be updated. So if you want to run an old style army list, or if you just like your Assault Marines, you like your Vanguard veterans, stuff like that, you still have those. You still have access to all of those, which is fantastic.
My prediction there is that they will continue to support those models with rules, but a lot of, especially a lot of the characters and some of the more generic stuff. For example, Tactical Marines have pretty much been replaced by Intercessors. I see them phasing out, and they'll keep the more special stuff. The Blood Angels, iconic Sanguinary Guard, for example, they're going to stay around forever.
I see anything that's like army specific, like Death Guard and stuff like that.
And
or not Death Guard, Death Company. But like regular tactical squads, I do see them being phased out eventually, but not yet. That's the important thing.
And again, I think the model kits will be discontinued far before the rule support is dropped for them.
So another thing that they did, they released the 7 steps, the 7 things to know about getting into it. There's a couple things I do want to point out. There's 3 things out of the 7 that I think were actually really important that I really liked. And this is something, I don't know if you've seen the video. I don't want to go over everything here. Like I said, go out and look for those yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Go give Games Workshop the traffic.
Let them know that we care. So, with that being said, though, the 3 that really jumped out at me, one of them is you will be starting the game if you are monofaction with more command points than if you super. I like that.
That is a perfect way to encourage people to play monofaction without giving everybody their own, like, super special, we have to play monofaction, get this extra layer of rules like the Space Marines did with the Doctrines. The Doctrines are wonderfully flavorful for the Marines. It's kind of hard to come up with a special system like that for every faction. So just going, here's more command points. The thing that 8th edition it brought us in that has a bigger tactical impact on the game than any rules change they've ever done. Have more of that special sauce that makes this edition great.
I think another thing that's going to help is a lot of the armies that you had to soup with, like think Adeptus Custodes or honestly, mainly Custodes. There's a lot of armies that you had to soup because they were really command point hungry and you needed the Loyal 32, Rusty 17, whatever. You needed them to come together to give you those command points because the army requires them. So now you're going to end up being able to take Mono Custodes, Mono Grey Knights. Grey Knights is the army that I've been learning and practicing competitive with, and they are command point sync. You run out very quickly.
Harlequins?
Yeah, Harlequins are going to get better.
There's
a lot of armies that this is just a blanket will make the army better.
I even see Tyranids benefiting from this.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to go double battalion anymore to get what I need, and I can do a base battalion and then take the stuff I actually want to play with.
Yeah. So that's a positive change. Another one, he and I have always been a big fan of vehicles in 40k. I love, like, I own several vehicles I never take to games just because they're not good enough. It doesn't feel like, even for a casual game. But vehicles in 9th edition will be able to fire while in close combat. So you can't wrap a vehicle, or you can't like just bad touch a Leman Russ or a Predator and keep it from shooting you. it'll still be able to shoot. And yes, I did just have to look for our predators to remember the name of them.
And the reason I was looking away off in the distance is because I have 10, 11 Space Marine tanks, 12 if I have 4 rhinos instead of 3.
Yeah.
I've not put any of them on the board in probably a year.
Yeah, so that's a good change.
Now the flyers I've run,
Yeah,
but not the tanks.
And about flyers, so right now, if I understand this correctly, and if you go watch the video, the way he describes it sounds like this. So if this is blatantly wrong and someone else has interpreted it the correct way, I apologize. This is just how I read it. James Workshop, the magnificent bastard that he is, has stated that flyers can be more flyer-y in the sense that you can do a strafing around with them, fly them off the board. In the current edition of 40K and past editions, if a flyer flew off the board, it was either dead or it had to go back in reserve. It seems like we're going back to a similar reserve system where you can fly on, have one fly through the table, get its shots on, move off the board in the next turn, and then in subsequent turns just bring it back and keep doing that. That seems really fun and really flavorful for fast, like supersonic flyers. I'm excited for that personally.
I have more gunships than I can legally field.
Yeah.
That says all I need to say. Yeah. Anything that lets me use my gunships like gunships.
Yeah. And the last thing, I just remembered this. Large weapons, like from vehicles, say Imperial Knights is the example that they gave. When firing those heavy weapons against hordes, automatic magazines.
Makes sense. Weapons like that are supposed to work better against hordes, and this brings them back in line with how they worked in previous editions, where you were using templates and you had a large pile of models together, and you put that big template over them. You get a lot more hits than you pointing at, say, a squad of Marines or Sisters.
Yep.
There is one other thing from that video that I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Terrain rules.
Oh yeah,
something that they specifically said that a large portion of the community has been screaming at them needs improvement for in the entirety of 8th edition, is that the terrain rules in 8th are bare bones.
Yep.
They're not bad, they're just incomplete. And it really doesn't matter what they do as long as it's something that's more complicated.
I think that what we're seeing here is, if we look at... So 8th edition was a complete rules overhaul, right? It was not even, it did not resemble the game that it was. Going into it, when we go into 9th edition, I think it's important to look at 8th edition as, this is the test bed. Think of 8th edition as a giant beta test for going into 9th edition. Because I see them taking the things that work, specifically because they take the things that work from 8th edition, the things that they worked on, and then they're just going to keep adding on new stuff. Bolting it on and making it more complete. And I very much look forward to it.
This is going to feel like it did for me when I came in the game in late 3rd edition. 3.5, the assault rules test. At the time, they called it the trial assault rules, I believe, not 3.5. 3.5 is the community name. But it was the same way, because 3rd edition was the first version of the game that played anything like it does today. And they did a trial version of the assault rules and then moved into 4th. And that's why I'm so confident this is just going to be an iterative process. This is going to be a refinement, an improvement of what we've had. There is one other thing worth mentioning with those terrain rules. I can't remember if it was in the 7 parts video, if this was something else I saw. I know it was from an official GW source. I want to say it was in the 7 Things video. They mentioned that reserves are working differently as well.
They didn't go into detail on that?
They didn't go into detail, so... Wild speculation, warning, wild speculation. If we get outflank as something that most units can do to allow a unit from reserve to come on from any board edge, that will wildly change tactics and screening and how things work. I don't know if they'll do something so drastic, but that's the kind of things I would expect to see, something that will change how you have to think about movement and deployment.
Well, even if just make it to where units and transports you can leave them in reserve and have them flank on. Exactly. That would be super good. That would be because especially with the assault intercessors, if they can assault out of vehicles, then you have them in a repulsor. You have the repulsor flank on whatever board edge is advantageous, disembark them, and get some slicey slice on.
Have they said? Was there anything said about changing the rules for like when you can assault after getting out of a vehicle.
They didn't say anything specific that I saw.
Because I've seen a ton of rumors flying, but I've not seen anything official from them. I wouldn't be surprised if they also change that, because if they're reworking tanks, one of the things you need to do to make transports good is give people a reason to use.
Yeah.
They need to do something with transports as well. So I would expect.
Well,
something.
right now, transports are taken to protect units that need protecting. That's all they are.
They're an armored box.
Yeah, and then once the box breaks, you're done. But giving transports an actual purpose other than just, hi, I'm here to eat shots for a turn.
And maybe, go bump somebody to eat Overwatch.
Yeah. So the last thing I really want to point out, and then we'll kind of just go to just some closing thoughts. And I didn't watch the full interview. I had things to do today, or the full broadcast. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, there was a gentleman that had a couple interviews. The whiteboard behind him kept changing to different things. One of them mentioned giving rules for Angron. I made happy noises. I'm currently in the process of building a World Eaters army. I have like 40-something Khorne Berserkers I'm working on. I've got 2 Lords of Skulls sitting in their boxes over there. I've got things to do, so I'm very hopeful. That would be really, really fun if they did do that. A lot of people are on, like, if you go on Reddit and the deeper sides of the internet, people are saying, no, it's just a troll, it's this and that. They trolled Magnus a similar way. They trolled Plastic Sisters a similar way. And there's been rumors of Fulgrim and Angron coming back for a long time. So that's something I'm very hopeful for. That's kind of on my personal wish list. I don't care what else they do. Just give me Angron. And like some redone Berserker models so I can look at the ones I've bought and cry that I bought them. But then buy the new ones and have 80 Berserkers.
Closing thoughts on that. The 7th edition ended with 2 Demon Primarchs.
Yeah.
And Gulliman came back right to open 8th edition. I think opening 9th edition with another Demon Primarch or 2, and then give us another Loyalist, would probably sound about right.
Yeah. Well, so, because like you have the Silent King coming back, so the Silent King better be a Primarch level model.
He needs to be.
If he's not, I will find you, whoever you are who made that decision, and I will write you a letter. That's all I got. It's Corona. I can't travel. But more than anything, I think it would make sense because you have you have, the Silent King coming back, potentially a Primarch level model. You have him coming back with all of his rules, and then you have to oppose, because Chaos opposes Necrons as much as anything else. So you've got, you can bring back. Bring back a Loyalist Primarch. That'd be nice, actually. I would like to have that happen as well. But, you can bring back another Primarch level model and bring out another Chaos Primarch. Because, let's be honest, as long as there's money to be made, it's on the table, right? And if they made Angron, Fulgrim, if they made any of them,
it's guaranteed sales.
It's guaranteed sales.
Whether the model even is good on the table or not, you don't see a ton of Primarchs getting play. I guarantee those models are still selling because they're amazing models.
Because they're beautiful, yeah. So that's kind of my thing. I think it's going to happen. I just don't know when. So, anything else you would like to say about potentially going into 9th edition? Anything else on your mind?
Just to reiterate, one of the reasons I haven't seen so much is I was on the internet looking for some stuff and hit the point of, okay, I can't take the wild speculation and gloom and doom anymore and just shut things off. Mm-hmm. GW is not going to suddenly make old things non-viable to sell new models. Not intentionally. They've done that plenty of times accidentally, but I can say, having played through 6 of 8 editions, stuff's going to change. The new stuff's going to be good. They are going to give you rules for all their old models.
Yep. And at the end of the day, it's more important to have fun with what you're doing. Like, if you don't like Primaris Marines, but you want to play Imperium, go build your Mini Marine army. Go build your Classic Space Marine army. And there are groups out there that you can find and join that's what they play. That's out there. Like, you can go, I have not built an army to participate in anything or even play with anyone, but there's a Facebook group I'm a part of that is the Badab War reenactment group. So it literally just focuses on painting armies from the Badab War. A lot of those guys are using strictly the older Marines and tactical squads, that sort of thing, to keep it accurate to the time. because it's you're trying to emulate that, and that's something to keep in mind. You can always play the game however you want to. It doesn't matter if you want to go back and play 7th edition, play 7th edition. If that's your prerogative.
And if you don't go to tournaments, and you don't like Primaris Marines, or you just don't want to spend more money on it, cool. Those tactical Marines are actually intercessors. I'm just going to use the newer stat line because my Marines are badass enough they don't need no Primaris. No one is going to care except for a tournament. And even then, a lot of small tournaments will let you go, you know what, fine, as long as we know what you're playing, we don't care.
Yeah.
Play what you want.
So
just don't go on the internet and rant about it. You're just wasting bandwidth.
Yeah.
You're the reason my Netflix loads slow.
Okay,
you should be ashamed.
Hey, take it back. Take it back. You're up here. I need you here. With that being said, that is uncalled for. With that being said, I do hope you guys have enjoyed the whirlwind of new information that's been coming out. We will keep an eye on everything, and we'll make like little supplemental videos throughout the next coming weeks as more information floods forth, as we know it will. But until such time that we upload another video, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful time. Stay safe, take care of each other, take care of your communities, and as always, this video has been Omnicide.